Hello! Before we start season 2 of Subconscious, we just want to say a big thank you to all the listeners and that we also now have a YouTube channel and an Instagram page. So feel free to subscribe or follow us on both to get updates and perhaps some extra content when we have the time. We hope whoever is listening is excited for this new season as we are, as we have some pretty cool topics lined up from what we've recorded so far. And without stalling, we'll cue the intro jingle and Joseph's deep and soothing voice.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another season of Subconscious, a podcast made by two friends sharing their catch-ups from two different hemispheres. My name is Joseph, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Colin. We're two longtime friends sharing the new things we've learned every week, and we hope you enjoy our casual chats while having a nice drink with us. Speaking of drinks, what are you having today, Colin?
Hello. Today, don't call me out on this. I'm having, it's not that interesting. What a way to start a season. I'm having hot water.
Wow.
Okay, I have a reason for this. There's a reason for this, other than that it's cold, because right now Hong Kong's going through this cold patch. Well, I say cold. It's like 6 to 8 degrees. And okay, let me make my case. It's cold because in Hong Kong, we don't have heaters built into houses. So you're just perpetually cold all the time. And the wind is kind of annoying also. So it is cold. But it's actually a little throwback to, I went camping I think a week and a half ago or something. And yeah, it was cold. And I brought my enamel mug, and when we made a fire, we just had water, and then like we put it on the charcoal, and it was like, heating up. So it was a bit of a comfort food, weirdly, hot water. It was really nice. You never realize how much you appreciate warm/hot water until I don't know, maybe like my parents always had warm water. Like, I don't know, Asian parents, they always have like warm water, and I'm like, why? Always cold. # don't ever drink hot water or something. And
That's
then
true,
I went camping. Yeah. So I'm having hot water.
I guess distance makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, quick aside, I think you don't need to like compensate when you're saying that like 6 to 8 degrees is cold. Because you know what, it is cold. Because like I'm so sick of these like elitists, and like I know our editor is listening right now.
Yes.
Like
Jansen would agree.
Yeah.
Jansen's going to agree with us.
like just because you live in like the UK or whatever, and you live in like a frigid, like depressing place, like doesn't mean that 6 to 8 degrees like isn't cold, right?
Let's bring back the wholesome vibes. We all like to be warm anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, a new season. It's been a while since we last caught up. How have things been with you?
Yeah, it's good. I think between the last time we stopped till now, Hong Kong's gone through this fourth wave of coronavirus.
Yeah.
When I say wave, I say like more than 20, 30 cases. And because, initially since maybe September of 2020, Hong Kong was relatively stable of like just having 1-digit numbers or sometimes no cases. And then out of nowhere, there was just like 60. So everyone kind of freaked out. When I say freaked out, nothing really changed because, I think, pandemic fatigue and all. But thankfully, it's on the down low now. But yeah, how about on your end?
Similar. So recently Sydney has had a few spikes here and there, and it's I mean, not much has changed, to be honest. I guess like right now, like masks have become mandatory indoors, which like they never were until like this point. So I guess it's just a bit different this time because they've got a few cases where they can't link it back to any like source. Yeah, so those ones are kind of concerning. But it's usually just been like floating around single digits in terms of local cases. But like recently there was like 20 or something, and so I mean, not much has changed, to be honest. And yeah, as you said, like pandemic fatigue and whatnot. But, shout out to our healthcare workers and like, they're all like being very vigilant in terms of like contact tracing and like trying to get things under wrap.
Yeah.
So today I wanted to share what I've learned a bit about drawing. So I think like a lot of people, I've picked up some new hobbies over 2020 because what a year it's been.
Yes.
And
my new hobby is Netflix.
That's a fair enough hobby. Sometimes you just need to escape from the world,
Yeah.
But yeah, so actually like it's been, I guess, like 9 months or something, but I've been like increasingly becoming more fond of like drawing. I don't think I'm anywhere near good yet, but it's just fun to just like try and practice a little bit every day. But yeah. So the great thing about starting without any prior experience is that I'm a complete beginner and there's lots to learn, and now I have things that I can share about what I've learned. So a bit of context, I have this kind of overarching goal for myself to keep up motivation, which comes from the many drawn and animated medias like comics and anime, etc. And something that I've always found really cool is character design. And in that spirit, I've kind of set like this overarching goal of trying to make a character design sheet and then like trying to work on the technical skills in between. And so one of these skills is learning how to draw poses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so like one of the things you want to try and capture in a character design sheet is like the personality of your character, right?
Right, yeah.
And so posing is like super important because it's like your body's pretty expressive and it's like a lot that you can do there. And there's a lot of nuances that you can like kind of tweak to really express something with the way that you like pose your character and you draw the poses. So something that's quite simple is that that's kind of a simple concept to like try and get more out of your poses is that if they're dynamic, it tends to look more expressive.
Okay.
So if you imagine like a character who's like running, right? Like that communicates a lot more than if they were just standing or something. Or if they were standing in a very like sloped way, or they're leaning on something, like that communicates a lot more about the character's personality than, let's say, like just like a like an anatomical representation of what the character looks like, right? Yeah. And so funnily enough, I think something that happens a lot when I try to draw poses is that the body looks really stiff, and I'm realizing that it's because I'm not really taking into account this dynamic element that's at play. So things like weight distribution of the body and like how it's like moving in space. And I find that this happens a lot because like I'm actually breaking things down too much. So when I'm trying to like draw an entire pose, I end up like focusing on the individual elements. Like, oh, I'm just trying to draw the shoulder, trying to draw like a perfectly anatomically correct shoulder or like a perfectly anatomically correct arm. And I end up not respecting like the overall picture and pose that I'm trying to draw.
Right.
So it's like, oh, let's say like I'm drawing like a sprinting pose, right? Like I'll draw a really accurate leg or something, but it's like just angled in a way that looks like it's just floating and not really as if someone was like leaning into it and stepping into the foot, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. So like, how am I going to make
nuance?
Yeah, it's funny, right? It's just like, it's at first it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna learn how to draw a pose, but then you do it and it's like, I suck. But why do I suck?
But why?
Yeah, but why, man? So in the spirit of learning, how am I going to make sure that the poses I draw look more dynamic and look like, more lifelike? So actually a really simple step that I've kind of learned is to begin with a line of action. And this is honestly just like drawing a stick figure. So it essentially looks like a stick figure, but there's a lot more nuance that goes through it. What you want to try and get with a line of action is to kind of draw So if I'm looking at a reference photo of someone actually posing, I try and draw the line that like runs through the body and essentially like simplify exactly how the sense of movement and interaction the body has with like the environment, so like gravity, right? And so yeah, it's really simple, but it gives you that extra visual cue of what your drawn pose is supposed to communicate. So going back to like the sprinting example, right? If I was to draw a line of action, I would find out that if I was to use a reference first and I drew the line of action through that, I would find that the angle is actually really horizontal. It's more horizontal than vertical if it was someone sprinting. And this step, it doesn't seem like much, but if I'm just trying to draw something without a reference, or like if I'm just like drawing something out of memory, what can happen is that I don't realize this and I don't internalize this. So I just end up drawing like a really stiff, like upwards body, even though it should almost be like they're leaning, like they're almost like diving forward. Because that's what happens when you're actually sprinting, right?
Right, yeah. Like your torso is like basically almost parallel.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's such a simple step, and it doesn't really help you draw like better in terms of like, you know, the technical details and stuff like that, but it's just such a simple step to help you like respect the overall picture. And so yeah, like that's one aspect that I've learned. The other thing that I thought was quite interesting that I've learned is the importance of perspective. And I think I might appease a bit of your photography nerd side with this concept. So there's these two things that I've kind of been like learning and like playing around with, which is called 1-point and 2-point perspective. And in drawing, it's just you basically draw in a way where the overall idea is that lines that run parallel with each other will meet at a single point on the horizon. And the horizon is like this bit that the furthest away that you can see. And so if it's all converging at a single point, then that's called 1-point perspective. And if it's two different points, then 2-point perspective. And so like that single point, like the 1-point perspective drawing can look like, depending on how sharp your angles are, it will kind of affect the way it looks, similarly to how different lenses have like different depths of field. So like, you know how if a camera has like a larger depth of field, the center of the photo looks more squashed in, right?
Wait, say that again.
If you had like a larger depth of field.
Okay.
Like
a larger.
Or maybe smaller. Like one of them, like the center looks more squashed in, right? And then the edges of the photo look more like spread out.
Okay, I don't really know, because I like depth of field. I've only thought about it as like shallow or deep.
Right. I guess, okay, another way that I can describe it is, if you're looking at an image, like if I place like a can in the center of the image, it would look smaller. And more squashed in. Whereas if I put it on the edge of the photo, it would look more like distorted in a way, where it would be a bit spread out.
Okay.
Even though the relative distance from the camera is like the same. Yeah.
Okay.
And so like with like 1-point perspective drawing, it's like you have to respect the fact that like shapes will get distorted based on that, depending on where you're placing the image. So it kind of looks like you're looking into something. Whereas like 2-point perspective, it looks like a fisheye kind of effect, where it's like kind of jutting out in the center, but like it like compresses inwards because the 2 points are on the edge, so it looks like it's squashed in. But anyway, I bring this up because when you're drawing poses as well, you can kind of break down your anatomy and body parts into shapes, which is easier to remember how to draw than like shoulder or torso or something like that. And also if you're trying to draw something with more exaggerated proportions, you can kind of use perspective to mess with that without making it seem like your person's like proportions are way off, because it's supposed to be exaggerated because of the perspective. And yeah, that's kind of what I've learned so far. In concept, in execution, I probably need a lot more practice, but yeah.
Well, no, that's just two little things. That's like a lot to think about. And weird question. I'm not too sure if you know this. You know, in animation,
Yeah.
how do they? Genuine question, because I have no clue. How do they make animation? Like, do they do it frame by frame? Whether that be anime or Pixar or whatever, any type of animated film. Like, let's just say I animate a stick man running. You would have to. I would assume that you have to do that frame by frame. Now look at, let's just say, what's that? A Spirited Away. Did the artist or animator have to, do every shot frame by frame?
Yeah, so depends on the animating style, I think. I think back in the day, before like digital technology and stuff like that, you pretty much had to hand draw every key frame, like like every single frame, and then make sure that it communicates like the thing that moves, right? And so that's why in a lot of like animated films or like shows, it can almost seem like during the dialogue parts it's just like a slideshow,
because they're not moving much.
Yeah, but it's okay, because it's if it serves a purpose all right, then it's fine, right? Like because you can usually like take like, let's say like a shot of a character's face or something, and then just change like the mouth shape to like match like talking, right? And so you don't need to like make it all dynamic and move like every little inch, like every little frame. And I think
sorry.
Yeah, no, you go.
No, I think I noticed that in Big Mouth, this like animated series on Netflix. Like when they talk, their mouth is like, it seems like it's just like shifting between different types of like cutouts of the mouth, but it's not like unnatural. I don't know. Like, I think maybe I was just used to looking at it.
Yeah, I think like one big thing about learning how to animate is like learning what are the most important like frames. Because it's just, you're trying to, like, a video is essentially like a really quick slideshow, right? It's just tricking your brain to seeing movement and stuff. So I guess it's the same idea with like animation too. And yeah, I think like more modern like techniques, like you have a easier time taking like a similar frame and then translating it to the next frame just with like little tweaks, so you don't have to redraw the whole thing. But I'm this is out of my depth, so I think that's all I can say with confidence so far.
No, man, how does it take so long? Like,
Yeah. So what time is it, Colin?
It is fact time. My favorite time of the year. Joseph, let me ask you,
Yeah.
how many islands do you think Hong Kong is made up of?
Oh. Wait, do those like tiny islands count?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay, ballpark guess, I don't know. Let's say 15.
15. You're
Yeah.
very close, because you're only off by 250 plus. Yeah, and the fact today is just literally Hong Kong is made up of more than 250 islands.
That's crazy.
Many of which are obviously uninhabited.
Yeah.
But also many are, like Zhongchao and Pengchao and...
Wait, people live in Pengchao. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
Or Lam Island. But I just thought it was a number that I did not I don't know. It just seems like a lot. I thought it would be like 50 also, or like 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know it was 250. And our editor, Janssen, also knows this. So he's probably heard this like 15 times.
It's probably like in the background rolling his eyes.
Yeah, like
It's cold and there are a lot of islands.
yeah. Anyways, thank you all for joining this new episode and new season of Subconscious. Clap, 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 clap. And
Yeah. I hope you
guess we'll
enjoyed.
just definitely. I did. So they better have. So yeah, I guess we shall see, or I don't know, catch them next time.
See you later.